everybody, and welcome back to the I Don't Know Running podcast, where we share our experiences that make running fun and sometimes not so fun. I'm Lewis, and I'm a self-admitted lazy ultra runner who is hungry.
I'm Mitch. I'm also hungry. And it's Friday. We're drinking.
Well, I am not. I'm hungry. Here's the reason I'm hungry, and I don't have a drink. I had to do a family thing this afternoon, and it ended up taking a lot more time. So I'm texting Mitch saying, hey, I think it's going to be 4:30, something like that. It ends up being 4:45, roll in the door, and I come straight downstairs. And you have dinner plans.
I have dinner plans, so,
it's a quick turnaround.
So Tammy's going to have to meet me there.
No time to dilly-dally. We had an idea. We kind of had some ideas of what we want to talk about. Number one, the bulk of this conversation, which we'll get to, has to do with what season we're in the year, which a lot of people can relate to, especially if you're in the north.
Well, if you're in this area specifically where you don't see the sun for how many days in a row.
Yeah, Michigan's horrible with that.
Beautiful state.
Yeah.
But we don't get a lot of sun.
Starting in October. Yeah, we do not get a lot of sun. But because we're a running podcast, we do want to talk about a very big marathon that happened. Was that last weekend? It was the 3rd. I think it was 11.
It's been a couple
Hang on,
weeks.
3? No,
we're kind of late.
Well, anyway, it was a New York City marathon. When was that? November 3rd.
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. But the 3rd doesn't sound right. The 3rd, it can't be the 3rd. It can't be the 3rd because that's like a Monday or. Let me look at my calendar. That's
a Sunday.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So this doesn't seem right to me. It is. Yeah, you're right.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. Duh. Yeah, 10, 17, 24. I knew the Sundays. Starting the 10th. I couldn't do math, apparently. So, yeah.
Your math is not mathing.
Almost 2 weeks ago. Well, 2 weeks ago when this airs.
Have you ever run it?
No.
Ever wanted to?
I didn't necessarily want to early.
I put in for it for a long time. It didn't get in, and I was kind of like, whatever. But I think I would now because it's one of the majors.
Yeah, and it's iconic. It really is iconic.
And that's the other thing that's come up is they made Sydney one of the majors now, too. So they've added a 7th major.
Right. Yeah. 7th?
Yeah.
There were 6?
Yeah. Yeah, Boston, Chicago, New York, London, Germany, Berlin, and Tokyo, and now Sydney.
Okay, I mean yeah. Okay, for some reason I was thinking it was 5, but when did they add? Was there one added? Like when was the last time they added?
You're gonna ask me like when they? That's gonna be crazy. I'd have to.
I thought I remembered reading, or maybe it was just that you were telling me about when they did add it.
I knew
all those that had the major. Oh, because they added that major medal or whatever.
Yeah, but they were talking about Sydney, and a lot of friends went out and did Sydney because they were talking about it. But now I think they're talking about even more after Sydney, possibly. So we'll see.
Yeah, that seems
you got all the
weird.
majors. Well, it makes
how many majors?
Makes people get off their butt.
I guess. You have 115 majors. One for every. I don't know. Every marathon. I mean, I suppose if they said, you know what, every marathon that has more than 25,000 runners or something like that.
Could be, because you could think about that. There's a lot of them out there. You think Marine Corps is pretty big too.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That is another big one. But anyway, New York City. That's what we want to talk about a little bit. A couple of stories to that.
Yeah, that was funny because Nicole sent that text about the guy that got banned.
Yeah. I want to. Did you check his name?
Of course not. I leave that to you to slaughter his name because you're better at it.
I wanted to make sure because I didn't want to put out the wrong name.
You say the name wrong and then I make fun of it.
Choi. It is Choi.
That's how we do it.
Mark or Mike or something. Matthew Choi. That's it.
There we go.
Well, honestly, actually, I should be careful. Violated the group's code. Yeah, it is. Okay, so Matthew Choi. So he's a influencer on YouTube, or so, I don't know. I don't even know what he's an influencer on, but
I think he's run other races like that. Yeah.
Yeah, some social media platform. And he thought it would be a good idea to go to one of the largest marathons in the world, 55,000 or 50.
That's
something like.
Yeah, it's up there.
Something like that. And take guys or I want to say guys, but
people on e-bikes
to follow him on the course and video him
and block other runners,
and thought that would be okay. I mean, this isn't his first marathon. This is what he does. Like, he's a runner.
I don't think that'd be okay in a small marathon.
No.
It's not okay.
So New York City said, you know what? You're not welcome back here anymore.
And he's not, he took ownership and said he's not going to come back. He's like, okay, I agree with that.
He 100% did. I saw a couple, I read a couple of things on that. And he did 100%. He owned up, said, yeah, that was foolish. I don't know what I was thinking. That was wrong of me to do that. I impacted other runners, and I understand how much that can hurt your time. And if you've never ran a marathon, you might think, oh, it's just a little hiccup or whatever, it's just nothing. But when you're deep, especially deep in the marathon, 18 miles hits, that can impact you significantly.
I've run a few races.
Yeah, a couple.
Just a couple. And
are you over 10 now?
I think so. Can't count. Yeah, I think it's over 10. But it is a little annoying. Like it's like you'll notice people do crazy things. Like people will, like their family will be out there. It's great. But they'll be trying to basically having their own aid station for their runner and then getting in other people's way. I've noticed that a bunch of times. So there's things that people do, or somebody will be out on the course of the bike and riding next to the runner, and you can't pass.
Yeah.
But they only think about themselves. You see it all the time.
Or they think, well, I'll just stay out of the way.
Yeah.
I'll pay attention. And inevitably, you don't. You just lose track,
and these
or whatever.
In smaller races, I cannot imagine. Like the big races, they about shut the course right down.
Yeah, it's hard to get on the course. So this is actually, I'm surprised when I read this.
Surprised that they got through.
I was surprised that they were able to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to allow some kind of crossing, and it is 26 miles.
But you'd think if he just carried a 360...
I know.
Call it good, and then have a couple friends along the course videoing.
But good on him. I guess there's two things. Number one, the fact that he did it, especially an experienced runner, I believe anyway, experienced runner, to think that you could get away with that at New York. And like he said, but then on the flip side, he recognizes, wow, yeah, that was really short-sighted, and I really shouldn't have done that. But anyway, it's just interesting that is a story that came from New York City Marathon. And the other story that I ran across on this, because I for whatever reason, I stumbled across Casey Neistat. Neistat, I think that's how you say his name.
I wouldn't know how to say it.
Casey Neistat. He's one of the original YouTube vloggers, huge following. He has been chasing 3 hours for quite a while. And because he's been chasing that, I recognize that he's a runner, like big time, like he runs. And
3 hours isn't a joke. So you got to be a runner.
Yeah. You're not too many people can just decide, I'm just going to go run a marathon and hit close to those times.
I think anybody can run a marathon. I think it's when you start every increment.
Yeah.
As you try to get faster is a big deal.
It's a big deal. He's been chasing this I don't know. He's been chasing it for quite a while because I think he wanted to do it at New York. And I don't know. This is going back. For some reason, 7 years sticks in my head. So if it may be like 5, it might be 2. I don't know, but it's more than 2. But anyway, I was following him, and he hired a coach. I don't know, last year, the year before, and so there was this big ramping up that he was going to break it at New York last year, the year before, and something happened. I don't exactly remember what.
He didn't make it.
He did not make it. So he had all the training in, and he's like, well, maybe I'll go to Arizona and try and break it at this other marathon because I was going to be down there or something like this. So he goes down there. Spoiler alert again, he did not break it there either. A lot of spoiler alerts here.
So did he make it?
So I saw a video pop up yesterday, and I went and I saw his big thing is I don't know where this came from, but maybe it goes back to his first marathon that he ran. He has this like notepad, and his videos are really cool.
I've seen those. I've seen that.
He goes, do something hard. Boom. Underline exclamation, whatever. And I saw that pop up, and it was tied to one of his first marathons, I think. And I went, oh man, I wonder. It's New York City Marathon. That's where he lives. I wonder if he went out there and did it. Sure enough, watched the video, and it was really cool. There's a little more to it. How he was able to do it. Had the same coach.
I would have fired that coach if I didn't make it the first time.
I don't think it was a coach's fault.
I blame him anyway.
Yeah, it was not the coach's fault last year. And nobody's going to go and watch it. And his coach, who was pacing him this year. So this is New York. And this blew my mind. I was watching this video, and this blew my mind. New York City Marathon, 50-ish thousand people running the marathon, and I see people crossing the road. Like how do people
we just
think
talk
that
about
they
this?
can? Yeah. So his coach is pacing him. I don't know where they got to. I think it was later in the race, like maybe 17, 18, 19, something like that. Person's crossing the road with a mail cart. The coach didn't see it, crashes into the mail cart and goes down.
Well, lost his pacer.
Lost his pacer. He goes on and does end up finishing both of them. Both of them were okay. But he did. He broke 3 hours, 2:57 actually. So he had been close a few times. Hired the coach, got himself trained up, and he is still a little bit younger, relatively speaking. So still has the legs, was able to knock it out. So congrats to him. I thought that was really cool. I've been following it for a little while now, and because of his running side, and his videos. His videos are pretty cool, and a lot of people probably have heard of him. Thought it was pretty cool that he broke it. Not only did he break it, but he broke it in New York where he really wanted to break it. So big New York City news this week.
Huh.
But that's not all we want to talk about. Yeah, it's that time of year.
Yeah, it hits me every year.
Yeah, it's the winter blues / seasonal. What is it? Seasonal.
It's like sad. So it's like
seasonal. Let me look it up here. It is seasonal affective disorder. Seasonal affective disorder.
So I think this year it's worse because I am really
hobbled up.
I'm hobbled up.
Plus you've been hobbled up going into it already.
It's been all year. So it's been it's very frustrating. And now, I found a spot on the bottom of my foot. It almost looks like a tendon sticking out. So I don't know if I got something else. I can touch it and it hurts and it's poking out. So I do have...
on the heel,
right in the middle of my foot.
Oh.
So I didn't show that to Terrence when I saw him.
I was just going to add, was going to be my question.
Because we just did a workout is all on Wednesday. Was there for that, and I wasn't thinking about it, but I do have a regular doctor's appointment. Every year doctor's appointment on Tuesday, and I'm going to talk to him about it and see if I can get to a
dude, come on. Oh my gosh.
I think he hit his head.
All right, lay down, dude.
But I'm going to see if I can see us, get an MRI on it to see if there's more damage, because it's like it feels like it's getting numb on the rest of my foot.
Oh man.
So I can't do anything. So we started to talk about all the things that you to do. Last Saturday, I didn't even want to leave the house. Like I just sat there all day, like just trying to.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's not just runners that it affects. However, runners, a lot of runners can be impacted by it because we're so tied to getting outside and getting our runs in, and the cold is coming, the footing is going to be crap coming. So there's a lot that plays into it, and as you've been going through this year with just health issues, that doesn't help leading into a season that is already going to be no sun, limited miles, limited, decent footing.
We always, in the past, we've always taken pride in just, we're going to get out, we're going to do 8 miles no matter how crappy it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you might cut it short once in a while, but usually, and it sucks. Like, it's the worst runs ever, but you're like, I did it. I'm not going to let it win.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do not do that anymore. I did that for a season, and man, I just did not like not having, not knowing what I'm stepping into, with snow and ice and going down and those kinds of things.
Well, I've fallen plenty of times too.
Yeah. And I just don't like it. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth the potential of injury. So I just gave up. And, but anyway, the seasonal affective disorder or SAD or winter blues, call it what you will, there is a distinction between the two. We did read on that a little bit. It's just important to recognize that. And it's important for the people that you're around to pay attention to it. You recognize, you're like, man, this is really hitting me this year.
But it gives you, I know it's a weird feeling because it puts some really dark thoughts in your head.
Yeah.
And the easy thing to say is getting help. And then I'm thinking, they always ask you those questions at the doctor, and you're always like, do you find no pleasure in doing things? And they ask all those questions. You just blow through them.
I know.
And I always think to myself, like, what if I say yes? Like, and that's where we're all at. Like, what if I say yes? What are they going to do? And that's what I'm going through in my head right now. And I'm really struggling with that.
Yeah. And sometimes they're hard to answer because you're thinking, in what moment am I answering these questions?
Right.
Like right this second? No, I feel okay right now. Or is it in general? Is it at the bottom? Am I in a horrible mood? Yeah.
It's not even a bad mood. It's hard to explain. It's not even like you're in a bad mood. You're just sad.
Yeah. So these are some quick things. We just want to go through a quick list of some things that can help runners. Maybe help put up some guardrails from that encroaching too much on our mental state. Number one, I would say, if you're feeling it, go talk to somebody, whether that's a friend, a confidant, a doctor, obviously a doctor of some kind. 100% reach out, get it talked about, whether that's in your running group, whatever. As we know, and as we talk to people, the closet in your own head is just not a good space to be. So definitely talk to people and talk to them about this. But these are some things that can help just get you out the door when you're not feeling like it. Number one thing it says is just lace up for 30 minutes. And the reason that says that is because, like you just said, you're 8 miles. How long did that take you?
Well, that's an hour or over an hour.
Hour to an hour and a half, depending on the footing and the conditions. And sometimes that hour to an hour and a half is really hard to mentally go, I got to go out and do this for an hour to an hour and a half. So just tell yourself, hey, just get in this 30-minute run. And it helps. It's proven fact that exercise does help your mental state. So, the first one is just lace up for 30 minutes. Get in something. The next thing it says is supplement your sun, vitamin D. There's a few ways you can do that.
Tammy bought me one of those lamps last year, and I told her I wasn't going to use it, and she took it back. But
maybe you should use it.
I don't know when I use it.
At your desk.
Yeah.
It helps. It does. It's vitamin D. It helps. Maybe. It's proven. And then, of course, you can do but one of those lights is a very good example. The other thing is just some vitamin D supplements, vitamins. And again, it is proven to help with that feeling because we don't get the sun in Michigan.
I'm going to move to the other side of the world.
Somewhere, Arizona, I tell you what, it's hot and sunny there a lot. Sunny San Diego, maybe.
It gets dark early, though. So I need to go somewhere where it's not, I need to follow the sun.
Just continue to move west for the rest of your life around the world. Yep. See you in a year.
6 months.
No, it'd be a year. It would be 1 year. The cycle. You'd have to keep going.
Well, yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to fall behind.
I got to go where the longest day of the year is all the time.
Well, it's Alaska in the. Oh shoot! It's Alaska
in June
in the summer. Yeah. Or I guess June, and then you just head to the equator during the winter. I mean, that wouldn't be so bad.
Side note: I'm looking at Alaska next year, and it's in June.
Oh, I think that's right. Is that same one?
That's a different one. I decided the other one's too expensive.
The salmon one, or what is it? Cod?
Yeah,
what is that one?
The salmon festival.
Yeah,
it's just too far out of the way, and it would cost an extra couple grand to do that. And it's like, I don't need to do that.
That's probably one of those when they say, "Hey, let's see who came from the furthest away," and you could raise your hand and say, "Michigan, you're probably the furthest one away," because not a lot of people go and do that one. It's too expensive. Well, it's all locals.
Yeah, and it's only like 20 people.
Yeah, exactly. So the next thing it says is to maintain balance. They're talking about a lot of hormone type levels, and there are different things that affect that. But I would say additionally, just the balance of life. Getting into this kind of a season where you're number one, we are getting into the busy season. And so it's important to maintain the balance of a healthy home life, things like that. The fewer things that you can have pushing stress on you, the better.
I think I need new tattoos. I think that usually helps.
Is that what it is? I think that is a temporary thing.
I know, but I only,
not the tattoo. That's very permanent, but the feeling you get is very temporary.
Well, can't hurt.
Maybe you could get some temporary ones. Yeah, would that work?
I don't know.
No, not the same.
No, it's not the same.
Healthy balance in your life. And then this one just says, check in with yourself. And this is something that, Mitch said, he's like, man, I gotta check myself. Like, how am I really doing? Talking, things like that. Going to the doctor and saying, hey, can you just do a once over?
Well, that was the other thing too, is because I can't run. I talked Rudy into doing this workout with Terrence with me. And just that first day did help. Like, just to go Wednesday and then, he's being a smart ass the whole time, which is I expect out of him. It was weird. Really? It was not normal.
Never.
I think he was interrupting Terrence like half the time. So it was,
you can't get anything done.
No, but it helped. I mean, it was something that helped.
Yeah. So So yeah, doing things like that. Check in with yourself and ask yourself the hard questions. Like how are you really feeling? Do you feel sad all the time? But yeah, check in with yourself. The next one is reframe your training. And this is a pretty simple one. We've actually talked about this in other winter running type things. And that might mean, hey, I can't go out because of whatever. So, hey, get some other training in. This is a great time for cross training, planks, things like that. We've talked about that.
I know. At least he didn't make me do planks the other day. But you know what? Now that he listens to this, he might add it.
It will not hurt you. I will say that.
It'll hurt.
Well, that's a healthy hurt.
But there's benefits to it, right?
Big benefits to it, especially when you're not able to do other things like what you're in right now, especially. And then the last one is just find your winter rhythm. And this is something that we've actually talked about on a bigger scale of just rhythm in general with running and training. But he
didn't quite make it up onto it.
Oh my gosh.
He was getting onto.
Nicole left, so Rowdy is scrambling all over the place right now for some reason. Probably has to go out. But anyway, find your rhythm. Rowdy just threw us out of our rhythm right there. And that is finding a rhythm that works for you. It may mean that you can't go out at 6 a.m. or 4 a.m. anymore. Find a new rhythm that works for you. You might have to adjust.
Yeah, I just go into work at 6 a.m. now.
And then run after?
No, I don't do anything.
You just don't do anything. Gotcha. Well, that's a different thing. That's just an injury thing. But with regards to rhythm, find a different rhythm that works for you so that you can get in the runs, even if you have to adjust your schedule. Whether that's because of the light, because it gets dark and you don't want to run at dark, because there is that. A lot of people don't like that, especially women. Don't like being put in vulnerable situations. Something else we've talked about on the podcast. So yeah, adjust your schedule. Do what you have to do to find that new rhythm for a few months, December, January, February, and then hopefully March, things turn and we start seeing some sun and things like that.
I think that's the big change for me is when the days start to actually get longer after the winter solstice
until December 12th.
Yeah, like after you hit the actual winter solstice, and it's like, okay,
I want to say it's
I can see light.
It's December sometime.
Yeah,
I'm like 90% sure.
That's pretty high.
That's pretty high. I feel good about that one. There is that 10%. I'm like, dang, I'm going to be made look like a fool here.
I wish people would comment more on the videos.
But anyway, yeah, just recognize those winter blues. It is a real thing. Don't get caught up in it. However, pay attention to it and adjust. Adjust what you have to. Just like with an injury, adjust, flex, and move on. But yeah, other than that, get out there, run, and make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all of that. Share this with somebody. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on YouTube, Patreon. Do all of that. Patreon, just do the free join.
Do the things. Do the things.
Yeah, do all the things. But that's going to wrap up this week's episode of the I Don't Know Running podcast. Be sure to tune in next time as we share more about what we just don't know.
Till then, happy hobbling.